The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-host and do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network and or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised. This is especially true on our live shows.
Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of This Week in Guns is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to This Week in Guns. This show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network and Patriot Patch Company.
And this show offers commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Sean Herron, and I get to introduce our panelists tonight like I do every week. First up, we've got the host of the Gun Collective and the TGC podcast, John Patton. Welcome back.
Hi, how are you?
Good to have you, bro.
It's good to be back, man.
And next up, maybe not first time on the show, but first time on the show with me. He is in sales and marketing at Rainier Arms and TriggerCon, and also host of the brand new Firearms Radio Network podcast, The Peak. Ari, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Glad to have you here. Have you been on the show before? Maybe with Jake in the past, or?
I think with Jake a little while ago. I mean, I'm talking like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It's been a while.
Okay, cool. Well, it's the exact same. I can say ambidextrous.
Right on.
So no big deal. First off,
that's a really throwback joke.
It really is. It really is. I will never hear that word and not think of Jake Challand for the rest of my life. Well, I'm sorry, ambidextrous. I will never hear that word.
Not to be confused with Amberlance, right?
Amberlance, yes. One of my favorites. Go check out Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co, and check out Second Call Defense. If you have a firearm, use a firearm, carry a firearm, keep a firearm at your house. If you ever have to use it, what happens after the smoke clears? They can help. firearmsradio.tv/SCD. Do you guys remember the dude in blue jeans, a plate carrier, and a balaclava that was just like, I'm going to go take care of some stuff in Kenya? Do you guys remember him?
Oh, yeah.
That guy
was awesome.
Pretty awesome. He's been awarded the Conspicuous Gallantry Cross, which apparently is a pretty big deal. I think he is pretty awesome personally. I remember seeing this kind of all over the place, and he did a lot. John, what do you think? I mean, clearly it's a great award, and I mean, I'm sure he's probably super, super humble and doesn't really think a whole lot, but what do you think?
He didn't do that for the award, that's for sure.
No.
He didn't step up and put his life on the line for a cross. He did it because that's what they do. The SAS is no joke, just like our special forces, and he did the right thing.
Yeah. Ari?
Yeah, that was the least probably of his concerns or worries. I mean, he's just that type of dude. He just hopped in and did what he needed to do. It's great to have guys like that in the right place at the right time for once, right? Yeah,
100% agree, and he did work. Next up, I feel sometimes like I'm on Groundhog Day, except this is reverse Groundhog Day. Smith & Wesson splits from American Outdoor Brands. So in 2016, American Outdoor Brands, the parent company of Smith & Wesson, decided they were going to bring everything in-house and have it all under one. And, they wanted to kind of bring everything in as part of a diversification. Apparently that's my word, push.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's your word.
Apparently it is. But now they are cutting them loose to go do their own thing. The quote here says, there have been significant changes in the political climate as well as the economic, investing, and insurance market since we embarked upon what we believe have been very successful diversification efforts, said Barry Monheit, chairman of the board. We believe that separating into two independent public companies will allow each company to better align its strategic objectives with its capital allocation priorities. I have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. I don't know if this was the nunnery that was suing them for everything in the universe that kind of brings us upon them. But Ari, what are your thoughts?
That's to be honest, that's going a little bit over my head. I mean, in terms of like them separating, it sounds like a little bit of preemptive, damage control. It sounds like.
Yeah. Now, combined American Outdoor Brands had a disappointing earnings report in August. Quarterly sales were 123 million compared with 138 million for the first quarter in last year. That's a decrease of almost 11%. John Patton, what are your thoughts?
I think Ari hit the nail on the head with this is damage control. They're trying to separate the guns from the rest of the brands. Mm-hmm. I don't know where, like, I know they bought Crimson Trace and Caldwell and a few other brands, all like within like a 6 months like span.
Mhm.
And I don't know if those remain under American Outdoor Brands or if they are under Smith & Wesson. I don't know where they fell in the mix. But what I do know is that this is a very, very clear delineation, removing guns from American Outdoor Brands so that investors feel better and insurance companies feel better about dealing with this gigantic conglomeration.
Yeah, could not agree more. We'll kind of see where it goes. I mean, Smith & Wesson, most of their success recently has been based on the success of the Smith & Wesson Easy, which I actually love that gun. But they've been doing some other things as well, I think. I'm very curious to see where this goes, and we'll definitely keep an eye out for it. California man arrested for possession of several assault weapons and drugs. This was the Interagency Narcotic Task Force arrested a 37-year-old man after a search warrant led to multiple assault weapons and drugs. They show it. There's definitely some drugs there. Got an AR pistol. Looks like some kind of semi-automatic Uzi with either a suppressor or just a barrel shroud of some sort. Another 9mm carbine pistol, another pistol, and then just like an AR with a weird foregrip. The guy's mugshot is the only reason I really wanted to bring this up, because he looks really, really, really happy. What do you think of that mugshot, Ari?
I didn't see it. Where is it?
It's in the article. If you just go down a little bit on the right-hand side, this guy looks so happy in his mugshot. I don't even know what's going on, but it's just kind of stuff like this. And John, one of the reasons I brought this article up is because one of those AR lowers looks like it might have been an 80%. It looks like raw aluminum to me. What are your thoughts there?
I'm pulling the article up here.
And I was mentioning,
that pistol there looks like an 80% gun. So sorry, I the dog was freaking the hell out because I'm doing a podcast in the other room. So
of course,
oh man, gotta freak out right now. Yeah, that definitely looks like an 80% gun. But what was the issue here? I'm sorry.
Not a whole lot of issue. I literally only brought it up because I wanted people to click on it to look at the guy's mugshot.
Okay, where?
Do you see
my god!
Yeah, he's so happy that
First of all, how does a dude's head end up shaped like that? And second of all, why is he so damn happy?
Yeah, I'm like, bro, your bail is 3.
Well, he had drugs in there, right? I mean,
that's true. That's true. When that high wears off, it's going to be bad.
Well, I guess this is better than like being all sad looking. You know what I mean? Like everybody's like crying and doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
This is better.
Yeah, own your stuff, I guess. Exactly. This is one I wanted to talk with both of you guys about. 80% Arms releases a modular 80% frame. It's called the GST9 Ghost, I believe, and it is a modular pistol frame. It basically, you can take out the back strap and kind of change frame sizes and change grip sizes and things like that. It looks like it's going to be about $700 just for the gun that comes as a whole, and it's going to be about $129 for just the frame. Ari, I'll start off with you. Have you seen this? What are your thoughts here?
No, I haven't. I'm still trying to find the articles. How do I get to that?
Oh, I will send you the show notes.
Okay, cool.
But so this one, it is kind of interesting. It is,
yeah.
It is modular, and
is it another kind of Glock kind of deal, or?
Yeah, it basically it's a polymer 80%er that you finish off, and you can basically swap out the back strap and the grip and the bottom of the grip. So you can make it like a subcompact. You can make it like a full size 19.
Kind of similar to what the guys over at who is it now?
Zero Delta.
Yeah, Zero Delta is doing. Yeah.
I agree. It is similar. This one's less modular. I'm trying to get you the
probably more polymer based then.
Yeah, it's definitely polymer. Show notes are on their way to your email right now. Now, John, have you seen this from 80% Arms? It's the GST9, the modular.
Yeah, I actually I did some social media coverage of this thing because I thought it was really interesting. I think this is the first time I've seen a polymer modular Glock. Zero Delta's got their version of modular. This is really just about the butt end and the grip length here, but I think it's an interesting idea. They were doing a pre-sale of the frame itself being, I think, $180 maybe. I don't know. It was under $100. I know that.
$79.99.
Otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, it's pretty much a Glock. Very, very, very similar. It's got a couple cool features. I don't know. 80% guns don't get me crazy excited, but this could be a cool thing to have and try out.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think so too. But I'm going to tell you, there is something that upsets me a little bit about it. So first off, you can get the entire pistol build kit for $700. You can get just the frame for $120. Their introductory pricing, that's great, but I really care about what the long-term stuff is. But the jig is separate. It's a one-time use jig. It's $30.
Okay.
One-time use?
Yeah, one-time use. They say it's disposable. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, if you're super careful and don't hit the edges, you could probably use it more than once. But even I think Polymer 80 says that the jigs are usually just usable once.
Yeah.
Here's the part that is even more annoying to me, that you have to buy like the drill bits and stuff from them at $50 for the end mill and the drill bits and all that stuff as well.
Nickel and diamond you a little bit.
Exactly. And that kind of stuff bugs me.
Wrap that all up into a single kit and
that's what I was just thinking.
And what happens after you oversell, the jigs and run out of the bits? I mean, I'm sure that probably could have been little thought out. I mean, but as far as like another option for an 80%er, that's pretty cool. I love seeing different options. Obviously there's only a handful, I think, that are viable solutions for an 80% kit. I can see this being pretty popular. I mean, especially for that price. It is kind of deceiving though initially, $130 for the frame, but then you got to buy, the one-time use jig, and then you got to buy all the little ends and pieces. Just wrap it all up together and call it what it is. I think after they wrapped up the whole package, it was something like $400 something, and that might have, there may have been some, marketing behind that to make it sound more appealing than it is. But
yeah,
like don't hide it from us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just come out.
Don't hide the end cost.
People don't like those surprises,
No, because when you get it, I mean, and honestly, this is because some other people in this space, they sell you everything all as part of one kit. All comes together under one price. I think that's great. Like literally, just put it all in, charge a little bit more for it. I think you're right. They were trying to hit this. Hey, look how inexpensive this is, especially in our pre-release, and it kind of annoys me personally.
Yeah, no, but as far as like, the technology of having the availability of the different grip sizes, that's cool. I'd be almost willing to accept that it's $400 for a kit like that.
Yeah, no,
people are looking for options. It's still a popular platform to have. And people love being able to build 80%ers out. I mean,
yeah, I actually
I don't really care to do it.
I love the 80%ers. I literally do them constantly. This is one of them. Oh, where is it? Right here.
Yeah.
I have fun doing them. I don't know why. I just like them. Sometimes, most of the time, they end up being a little bit more expensive than just me going out and buying a similar factory firearm, but I do enjoy them.
And you get to build it yourself. And I tell people all the time, don't do it because you think it's cheap. At the end of the day, I think do it because you feel like you're going to have some sort of satisfaction in building it out and doing it yourself. If you're that type of guy, then go for it. Don't do that. Just like I tell people all the time, I reload not to save money, just because I end up using that money to buy more ammo anyways. I reload because it's satisfying. I could tune it to my gun and all that other jazz, but I don't do it to save money.
100% agree. Guys, in Hong Kong is getting a little bit crazy. So there's the siege going on at Polytechnic University. There's just all kinds of things going on in Hong Kong. But I thought it was interesting that a lot of the protesters are wearing masks because there's a lot of facial recognition stuff, and that they don't want the government knocking down their door and arresting them. And actually, it was the court in Hong Kong said that it was unconstitutional to ban masks. And I thought that was actually very interesting. So they're actually supporting the protesters, at least in saying that they can wear masks and that the government is not allowed to prohibit them, so on and so forth. John?
I think what's really interesting is the complete lack of coverage in mainstream media of this. Like, this is... We're literally watching a revolution unfold in Hong Kong. We're watching it happen. I mean, you go to Reddit, it's everywhere. You go to, I mean, this is some Australian ABC thing. I don't know who actually owns this. I don't think it's our ABC. But the point is, the United States media will not cover this because this doesn't fall into their normal nonsense. You know, we're literally watching people try and figure out without firearms how to fight a government that has them.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy. I saw a clip on Reddit, I think it was last night, where people are being loaded into train cars and like shipped away. There was a story that said folks were being lied to or picked up in ambulances just so they could arrest them. It was not to help them. It was so that they could then arrest them for doing what they're doing. I mean, it's otherworldly. This is the kind of stuff that people want to happen here. They're like, oh yeah, the boogaloo, boys and girls. This is not a fun time.
No,
this is not good.
And I share that same kind of concern. It's kind of interesting how, you know, U.S. Mainstream media has kind of chosen to like keep this as not a big deal when in fact it is an incredibly big deal. And that, you know, it's kind of interesting what they're trying to protect, maybe the U.S. citizen to kind of start thinking about, you know, in terms of like, if we were to kind of go down this road as citizens of the U.S., you know, yeah, I mean, definitely it's interesting that we have to find our news from, you know, alternate media like Reddit and, you know, these international branded news stations. Like I've never seen this brand news station either, but you know.
Yeah. I will say that I've been getting my news from Reddit for like the last decade, which is probably why it's probably why I'm such a head case, but yeah, this is John, you called it, man. This is a revolution. Like history is being written right now in front of us. Mm-hmm. And you called out the Boog boys, the big igloo boys, the big luau boys that are, you know, sitting on their couches talking a lot of crap, where these guys over in Hong Kong, they're putting, you know, do not resuscitate orders on the helmets that they're wearing. And that's real, man. There's do not resuscitate. My handwritten will is in my pocket. Look at that and tell me it doesn't affect you. Look at that and tell me that these are not people fighting for their lives and their future.
I think even beyond that, we're literally watching like this weird dystopian thing where, you know, we talk about what would happen if they tried to take all the guns. Welcome to Hong Kong.
Right.
I mean, this is scary. Did you see, by the way, how brilliant are the kids at this Polytechnic U? They went outside to the street. They were like, look, we have to find ways to prevent the police from coming in here. What did they do? They glued bricks to the ground so that the vehicles couldn't pass.
Guerrilla warfare. This is guerrilla warfare.
Next level right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not something you think of when we're like comfortably sitting in our own homes going, yeah, man, I would pull out my AR and do this and do that. And like these people are having to find different ways. There were scenes of them with bows and arrows, just like trying to fight back. It's unreal.
Yeah. And I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to a meme page, gun grabbing memes for the tactical scene on Facebook. Yeah, dude, those guys, they're like ordering they're like raising funds. They're sending medical equipment.
Are they really?
Yeah, Amazon.
I didn't know it was that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that that's the right meme page. I see so many.
There's like 1,000 of them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the one. If someone's out there, correct me, and I'll make a correction here. No, it is. I'm 100% sure now. I see it here. But yeah, they're calling it the Hong Kong Bing Bong, and they're raising money and sending supplies, medical supplies, and the occasional Hawaiian shirt. But you know what? I'm down with that.
Yep.
And good on them for actually doing something. We want to talk about people that aren't doing anything a lot, and I'm proud of those guys, man. I don't even know who those guys are, but yeah, I'm proud of them. They're doing good work and doing good things. Some depressing news. California teen kills 2 at a school and turns the gun on himself. This basically happened. Walked in, had a .45 caliber handgun, pulled it out, shot a few people, then shot himself in the head. Eventually died. before the blood was dry on the ground and the smoke had cleared. Lots of politicians, we will say, dancing in the blood of the dead. And yeah, I don't know. It is a tough one. I haven't seen a whole lot of kind of the why. It was his birthday, and just lost it and became an animal and decided to hurt other people. I believe 2 died in addition to the murderer. But Ari, I want to start off with you. What are your thoughts here?
I mean, it's one of those things where, I think we're still trying to find the cause of why they do it. But I think, the more important part is I think people nowadays, when they want to inflict harm, and there's several ways to do it. There's cars, there's bombs, there's gasoline, there's, all these other crazy things. It's almost programmed now where it's like they know if they use a firearm that their thing is going to get televised, and and I almost, you hate to blame anybody, but I mean, mainstream media, they've made it too easy. Like if you have something that would happen and occurred with a firearm, it's guaranteed it's going to hit CNN. If you did this with a car or a bomb or anything else, or, chemicals, poisoning, maybe not get the type of reaction, but it's almost as if for the people that are hurt, it's like, if you really want these people to know your name, this is kind of the guaranteed thing. It's not something I'm ever going to get used to, but it's what's happening now, right? I mean, it's obviously, with all the other things that's kind of coming, you got to wonder, like, is this a smoke screen? Is this another one of their, it's unfortunate either case.
Off-duty officers were on scene dropping their children off. They responded very quickly, and the gunman was down on the ground with a self-inflicted gunshot wound in 16 seconds. That was 16 seconds. John Patton?
I have a hard time with these shootings that happen from time to time. Part of me, obviously you feel bad. I can't imagine what it's like to lose a child. I don't have kids. The closest thing I have is a puppy. And I already know, like, just from that type of experience, I can get a little inkling of what it's like to lose a child, right? Like I can imagine that. But at the same time, I fully, as soon as I hear about these things, I'm like, all right, what nonsense is coming our way next? It's not the things that cross my head, across my brain first are not things of like, oh, I feel horrible. It's like, what politician is going to stand on the backs of the dead and try to take my rights away because of the acts of a murderer or a terrorist? Every single time this happens, that's the first thing that comes to my mind because of the way this has gone. This happens. There's a new push for it. It only matters when somebody dies. It doesn't matter in the in-between. And it seems like the people that come out and speak against it have a vested interest in disarming the United States. And I find that very weird. And, I posted, we'll talk about memes for a second. I posted something right before this happened. It was a couple days before on my Instagram, and it said, Democrats are so busy trying to create evidence against Trump that all the mass shootings have stopped. And people are like, well, that's wrong. And well, no, the impeachment stuff didn't, because the comment I left with it was, wait until the impeachment stuff goes sideways, it'll happen again. Right. And like 2 or 3 days later, I don't remember exactly, it happened. There was another shooting, and it got massively publicized, and people looked very much into the specifics of what I was saying. And what I was trying to say was, look, it doesn't get publicized. It doesn't matter until they've got nothing else. That's when all this stuff happens. And I don't know if it's some government conspiracy. People were hammering me about that. You've lost your mind. The government's not doing this. If they've done it, why not, go after the government? Okay. Yeah. I have no proof of that. I don't know for sure. But part of me feels really, really like weird about the fact that seemingly every time there's a shooting, a mass shooting, there's a vested interest in the anti-gun side of the equation trying to move their agenda forward. There's some big thing, Epstein. There was stuff happening. There's, oh, don't look over here, look over here. and I don't know, I struggle with this. Well, like I said, I have a hard time with this because I don't want to sit here and have these weird conspiracy theories happening. But are they conspiracy theories? Is the government capable of this? Hell yeah, they are. And people say, do you think the United States government is paying a kid? Absolutely not. I do not think they're that stupid to have direct interaction with a child. But I do think they're fully capable of making a kid feel like that's his only option.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the kind of mental warfare that's happening here. And I mean, look at how fast Epstein went away.
Disappeared. Yeah. Little convenient. Just kind of, crazy.
It's interesting, man. I forgot that you posted that. When you posted that, John, I remember thinking to myself, remember this moment, because if something does happen, John deserves a high five. And it was weird. I mean,
well, people gave me crap because I reposted it a couple days later. They're like, and I circled, look, it happened. I called it. And guys are like, you're gloating over the dead. No, I'm pointing out that this is happening again. It's social media is a weird place, and people got very upset because I said some things that were very pointed. But the reality is, this is an awful situation that we all now have to deal with. And meanwhile, there's the parents of 3 kids that now have to deal with the fallout of this, and all the kids that were affected and terrified when some dick goes into their school and starts shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I say very often that mainstream media is the enemy on a couple of my other shows. And some people get upset with me about that. And I don't really care, because I actually truly believe that they are one of the greatest enemies that we've faced in a very long time, because they're pushing a message, and they're pushing, it's PR, right? But it's also propaganda. They're pushing,
they're controlling the message. It's not even pushing. They are literally directing where your thoughts are going. They're trying to go, you should think this about this.
Yes. And if you don't believe that, Tactical Toolbox has a bunch of great videos about that. There's a lot of stuff out there that I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but man, have I started to believe in some conspiracies. It's weird. And let's say that it came out just a couple days later that 3 were killed in a mass shooting in Oklahoma Walmart parking lot. And it was mass shooting. This happened. No, what really happened is it was a guy who found his ex-girlfriend or his girlfriend, I don't even know the specific details, in a car with her boyfriend or love interest or whatever it was. And he shot both of them, and then he shot himself because he was confronted by an armed citizen. The armed citizen saw what was going on, pointed a gun at him. He stopped what he was doing and offed himself like the coward he is. This is the kind of stuff that's just crazy. It was presented as a mass shooting over and over and over again until the actual facts came out. And it was not. It was literally just a murder-suicide, as has happened in the United States many times over the years. John, thoughts there?
You kind of hit it on what you said before. The mainstream media is trying to control the message. They're trying to steer you in a certain direction. And we have a culture. I don't know where it started, because I think it started before social media started, but we have a culture where it is way more important to be first than it is to be correct.
Yeah.
And if you can use the opportunity before the details come out, if you can race and get some information out to reinforce an agenda before details come out, those details do not matter. People don't care about the details. They care about the headlines. They care about how they feel about something. They want to be outraged. People are happier, quote unquote. The human condition nowadays is people love being angry, and giving them a reason to be more angry and more outraged just feeds that machine. Mm-hmm. And it works in the favor of the media that is trying to tell you what to do, because you'll go back and say, they broke another story. Here's another reason to be upset. And it's all subconscious, but wow, is it crazy.
Ari?
Well, I think John hit it right on the head. They're feeding a crowd in which is hungry for this type of attention, this type of outrage, to reinforce maybe some of their feelings that they have, not only for that side of the house of things and maybe who that house kind of represents. And I think a lot of it seems like, even on my own feeds, a lot of those same type of very strong anti-gun, gun control people are very anti-Trump, right? And so they kind of feel like anything and everything that has to do with firearms has to do with Trump. And it's very easy to be upset and outraged with that. And I mean, these guys are literally eating out of their hands. I mean, and all the media simply has to do is pop a couple pictures, pop a couple of videos, do a couple words, whether it be accurate or pointed in any way. And, you know, you've got a frenzy because, you know, it's the hottest thing going right now. Never mind about what's going on across the world that we should be, you know, literally reading about in 20 years from now in history books. Let's focus on some of the stuff that's kind of going on that works well for us. You know, so I mean, it's kind of the easiest thing to do right now, especially with what's going on with some of these media outlets like CNN. I mean, they've been tanking in terms of you know, viewer ratings. I don't know, the last 2-3 years. I mean, you know, they're struggling. So they're, you know, it's easy enough for them to kind of do. I mean, this lazy media, typical lazy U.S. media, feeding into frenzy.
Well, the reality is all it takes is a little bit of footage from the night shoot at Knob Creek, and suddenly you're in Syria.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean, Tuesday?
Not Syria, dude.
Oh man, did you guys hear about that house shooting that was at like a Airbnb house party and 4 were killed, 10 people were shot? It was just like there was a big Halloween party, I think it was, and apparently this is a thing that's going on. Airbnb has now come out and said that they are going to change the way that they're booking rentals, and they're going to do due diligence because some people are booking them for parties and then raging and people are dying because apparently, you know, a bunch of thugs decided they were going to take a gun to a party and shoot people, and, you know, not a mass shooting, but just thugs being thugs, criminals being criminals. Well, the DA, this comes out of Contra Costa County, and this is the Bay Area. The DA's office has announced there will be no criminal charges against the 5 suspects arrested for the deadly Halloween party shooting at an Orinda Airbnb. Investigation ongoing. Yeah. The district attorney's office, quote, and I'm going to read it verbatim. Today, the district attorney's office met with members of the Contra Costa County Office of the Sheriff to review the Orinda Halloween shooting incident. No criminal charges are being filed at this time against any individual. The investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information about this case should call the sheriff's homicide unit. So they arrested 5 people as suspects. No charges are being filed. 4 people are dead. 10 people are injured because criminals were going to criminal. Ari, what are your thoughts there?
I'm still reading the thing. Sorry. I mean, you know, that's absurd.
It is absurd. I don't even know. John?
This is the area. This is California, right?
Yes.
I didn't mistake. Okay, so this is the area where sanctuary cities were born.
Right.
This idea of don't charge a criminal, love him harder is coming from this area. I don't know. I mean, maybe they didn't have any legit evidence of, you know, why this happened or why these guys were arrested or whatever, so they couldn't charge them. You know, like when a bunch of people come out and, like, let's say there's 100 people in there and it's primarily black folks in there. If the police report is there's a bunch of black people and black dudes were shooting, who are they going to arrest? They don't know who to arrest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people, these descriptions they get oftentimes are pretty crappy, and police notoriously have arrested wrong people in cases like this. So perhaps that's what happened. I doubt it. But I don't know. It's terrible. I feel bad for Airbnb getting caught up in the mix of this. I mean, it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was bound. You're renting out these houses. They had 100 people. Hey, chip in, you know, $5 and you can come to our Halloween party.
Yeah. And apparently the house was advertised as a rental. But I want to throw something different at you guys. All right. Do you have anything else?
Okay.
No, go ahead.
So here's what I want to throw up. We have seen, and I believe we have in the stories here, that the Supreme Court decided not to overturn a lower court's case about people from families from Newtown suing. Was it Remington?
Yep.
For advertising to people and basically causing that shooting. So the Supreme Court refused to overturn it, which really was completely expected. Gun control people went crazy. But now we have a shooting. People died. This is clearly not Airbnb's fault by any means. They're not responsible for anything, but Airbnb comes out and says, you know what, we take a lot of responsibility here, and we're going to change the way we do things so that this kind of stuff doesn't happen. It's weird that things like that come out kind of at the same time. A big corporation that definitely has a left-leaning bias historically coming out and taking responsibility for a thing that they have no control over whatsoever. I mean, they can't control individuals. They can't control criminals. And again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I try to look at the overall holistic picture when I think about things. What are you guys' thoughts there?
I don't know, man. I think it's all weird. I think it's seriously, like I rent from Airbnb all the time. I've been in those houses. A lot of the places that we rent are like, hey, no parties.
Yeah.
In the rules and all that kind of stuff. So like rules have been breached to get to the point where they got to, right. Like, so claiming responsibility is kind of backwards. I think the correlation between this and the Remington case is like, I'm struggling to put the two together. I'll be honest with you. I'm struggling to see the real correlation. The Remington case is allowing that case to continue and completely defeats PLACA as far as I'm aware, because I'm not 100% read up on the decisions that were made thus far.
I agree.
But I think it's weird that Airbnb is now like taking it. Like, why would they take ownership of something they didn't do? That's the thing that gets me in this. I'm not sure.
Unless, of course, they feel strongly that maybe, they can be preemptively virtual signaling at the same time. Know that they probably are pretty safe in terms of anybody going after them on accountability aspects of it. I mean, it's like,
I think you're right. Yeah, like what would they do if people went after them?
Bad, when in fact that doesn't necessarily make you susceptible to maybe being found guilty for any sort of responsibility that could have occurred on your end. But you're right. It's just peculiar how they preemptively had already taken responsibility, which I don't think anybody had stood out and accused them of any kind of wrongdoing in terms of, because we rent a lot from Airbnb as well, and it's typically in that clause, no large gatherings of that type. I know because we host parties at SHOT Show and we have to go around that type of stuff. But
yeah, I think what's interesting as well is this is again falling back on that culture thing we've been talking about tonight, of like culture dictates that they have to apologize regardless of what they actually did. They feel obligated to apologize because they're trying to prevent people from getting offended that something or like upset with them or pushing blame on them. You're right. Using the word preemptive is right here. They're trying to like shield themselves. And that's weird. Like whatever happened to American businesses going, you know what? That ain't my fault. Sorry about your luck. What happened to that? Do we all just, everybody is like being forced to be apologetic and like own everybody else's nonsense. No.
So I'm just going to say this right now. The first time we hear a politician be like, well, of course, Remington can be responsible for the shootings that a crazy murderer did. Look, Airbnb's taking responsibility for these things. Then we'll know. If we never hear that, then I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist. But I have a feeling we're going to hear politicians kind of pointing that out and using that as some kind of, like Ari said, virtue signaling.
Okay. I'm seeing what you're saying now, like big corporation.
Yes.
Big corporation, that comparison. I think it's different because guns are, a gun manufacturer is like, I think they really want to be able to go after gun manufacturers.
Oh, yeah.
I would think they really want to cut the limbs off of every gun company. And I think Airbnb just happens to be somewhat related. I don't think it's a direct correlation, perhaps. I don't know. You might be right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I have no idea. I'll tell you what I am right about. This next story. Ohio Supreme Court prepares to decide if gun owners can drink at home. This is crazy. The Ohio Supreme Court will hear arguments in February to decide whether a law prohibiting gun owners from carrying firearms while intoxicated should be applied inside a gun owner's home. Lawyers for a Claremont County man arrested in 2018 after he acknowledged having an unloaded shotgun while drunk say the law is unconstitutional when applied to homeowners. They say a person's sobriety or intoxication level should have nothing to do with possessing a weapon in the hearth and home. And wow, this is a big deal, I think. I mean, clearly this is Ohio, but this could have some far-reaching ramifications.
I like how you downplayed Ohio.
I know it's Ohio, but don't just ignore it.
Yeah.
Ari, thoughts?
I mean, yeah, you're right. This is absolute slippery slope. At what point does that start to go? Like, did that medication or you know, you have aspirin? Are we going to start covering, you know, all these other drugs and that can be easily found? Are we finding easy methods in which to, you know, maybe flag these firearms owners that may potentially have, you know, more than 2 gallons of gasoline in their shack? So now it's like something very dangerous, and then. No, I don't know. You know, it's got to keep an eye on that, because I mean, that can really open the doors of a lot of things. You know.
Yeah, agreed, John.
It's nonsense, straight up nonsense.
Yeah, I can't.
Like, you're gonna tell me? Wait. Let me guess. I'm not allowed to kill people in my own home either. Like, duh.
Yeah,
like
no.
This is complete BS.
Yeah.
You're trying to literally control what people do in their homes.
Right.
That is unacceptable. Like, you could set up all these stupid laws outside of our home, and now you want to say you're not allowed to have a certain amount of alcohol, and we are not able to monitor that or enforce it. But you're not allowed to do it, so that if we catch you on something, we're gonna arrest you on that charge too. BS across the board. Yeah, I don't think it's going to pass. First of all,
no, I don't think so either. I think the Supreme Court will probably see the light. See the light. I will also say this: that I mean,
nice tries, right? Nice try.
Yeah. What's next? Like, I can't get hammered and use a deep fryer? Go to hell.
Right.
Don't tell me how to.
Come on, how dare you?
I don't need that kind of negativity.
What if I want to drink white wine spritzers and have some calamari? Get off my back.
Exactly. What, I can't eat finger sandwiches and drink White Claw? Get out of here.
Damn it, you took
Seriously.
I was going to say something about White Claws, but you got me.
Hey, I've never actually had a White Claw.
Me either.
But I feel like at SHOT Show, I need to have one with you guys.
Yes. I'm in.
Yes. That didn't take much convincing.
I'll buy the first round, John.
Yeah. John's like, at SHOT Show, I have
All
to
right.
in. I'm in. I don't care what comes after that.
Yeah.
Morton College student arrested for possession of firearms on campus, though he wasn't considered a threat. I'm going to unpack this one a little bit. There's a lot here. This is Cook County. We all know Cook County is an awful place to live. It is. What is that? That's Chicago, right? So there's a Morton College student accused.
Yeah, Cook County is Chicago.
Yeah. A large cache of assault-style weapons, handguns, and ammunition inside his vehicle parked at the suburban college on the same day last week that a teenager went on a deadly shooting spree at a high school in California. Completely unrelated. Correlation does not equal causation. Stupid writing by William Lee, Chicago Tribune, but we'll ignore that for right now. They found a dozen additional handguns along with 3,000 rounds of hollow point and high-powered rifle rounds inside the man's home after receiving permission to search it from his mother. This is a guy who got interested. He looked for fun things to do on YouTube, and he got very interested in guns. He has no criminal background. He collects guns as a hobby. They don't suspect that he had any violent intent at the school, but they remanded him to custody, called him a danger to the public. They showed the court in a very unprecedented step multiple photos of the approximately 20 rifles and firearms seized from him. This all began when a friend of his, a fellow student, contacted campus police about him, who arrived at class late and was acting strangely. The friend who was supposed to join Guban at a gun range after class that day later canceled. Friend said he was concerned, he was known to carry guns and things like that. Anyway, they found his car in the campus parking lot. They could plainly see one 9mm handgun through the window wedged between the center console and the driver's seat. They searched it. They found more handguns and three rifles, an AR-15, AK-47, and an Aero Precision 5.56mm rifle. So 2 ARs and an AK. They found loose hollow point rounds, blah, blah, blah. They pulled him from class. They arrested him. He said they were his. But so basically, this is a guy who is into guns, likes guns, had guns, was not a threat, did nothing wrong. And now he's been arrested. All of his guns have been taken. His firearms owner, firearms owner's ID card has been taken from him, and he has done absolutely nothing. They're also going to put him under psychiatric examination to determine whether there's any issues there. And this is a guy who literally didn't say anything, was going shooting afterwards. So he had the guns in his car. What the hell is going on, Ari?
I mean, that could be any one of my friends right there. I mean, I want to know how much of that 3,000 rounds was a Walmart value box of 22. I mean, but at the same time, this is red flag, in full effect, right? I mean, anybody you kind of feel looked at you weird or looked a little funny, maybe he was eating his cheeseburger upside down or whatever, something stupid.
Okay, well, that's just downright absurd. Like, anyone should be arrested for that.
But, it just, yeah, I mean, and of course, what's ridiculous is that it actually even made, well, I mean, I never mind. I take that back. I understand why it made the news, but, that could be any number of people I know. I mean, getting ready to go to the range, 3,000 rounds, that's about average.
Yeah.
Most people bring,
I'm like, if we would have gotten pulled over today because we had a filming day and we had a ton of ammo and a ton of firearms. I had 11 high points in the car today. Like, can you imagine what they would have thought had they pulled us over? I can't. John?
This guy's clearly on meth. That's what they would have thought.
Yeah. I mean, the meth showed that, but.
There's a lot of holes in this story that I find interesting. I may have missed it. Is it against school policy to have a firearm in a vehicle?
All right. So the judge said he's only looking at whether Guban had broken any laws in having weapons on school property and not ruling on his Second Amendment rights. The prosecutors did call him a threat, but scheduled a hearing. Or I'm sorry, the judge called him a threat, but scheduled a hearing where his bail may be revisited. So at this point, unknown if he had broken any laws or just school policies or whatnot. But
okay. So the things that stand out to me here, he said that they could see the pistol from the outside of the car. Your car is not a holster. Your car is not a holster.
Your car is not a holster.
Stop it. Stop it. This is nonsense. Hilarious other bits that I was scrolling through while you were talking about it. They specifically named an Aero Precision rifle. Shout out to Aero Precision.
What's up?
They said this is what he had. So 2 more handguns, 3 rifles, an AR-15, an AK-47, which was likely a pump-action shotgun, and an Aero Precision 5.56 rifle, as well as loaded extended magazines, aka AR mags, and about 200 loose hollow point handgun and quote-unquote blackout rifle rounds. So dude had a blackout shotgun, because an AK is definitely a shotgun in this case, and a 5.56. Like, this is the most basic range day. He's going out to have fun. Everybody's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. 200 rounds for him and his buddy who doxed him. Like, bro, this kid's life is now in, like, people that Google him from now on, henceforth, will see this.
Yep.
And he will have trouble getting jobs. He will have trouble in mortgages and all of these things where you are easily accessed and your name is out there and they're calling you a threat. Boys and girls, welcome to Red Flag Laws 2020.
It is utterly.
There are a lot of words. Sorry, there are a lot of curse words that I really, really want to use about this, but I can't. I'm sorry, Sean.
I totally understand this. I had to read this article 3 times as I was going through show notes because I was like, wait, what? Why? What is going on? And also his friend, I hope, is no longer his friend but that brings me to my next point, which is the see something, say something, right? Like what had been planning something. Like, it's impossible, right? Like, it's impossible situation. If he hadn't said anything and this guy had been planning something and had done something, then we would be talking the exact same way. about like, why didn't the police do something? And it is this slippery slope, and I am so annoyed by it. And I always have to say, when I'm unsure, I err on the side of freedom. Now, in the past, forever, and always. Like, yeah, I'm unsure. Maybe if this dude hadn't said something, this guy would have done something bad. Maybe. I'm sorry, but I don't care. Like what we have is freedom in this country, and that's what makes America the best country on the planet.
That's
and
right.
I err on the side of freedom. That's it. If there is a question, err on the side of freedom. Any thoughts there?
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. Go ahead, Eric.
Go ahead, Ari.
I was to say, I absolutely agree. I mean, it's one of those things where, I mean, at what point does that needle start to get closer and closer to just being, anything, that maybe this person had said or done to warrant this type of investigation and intrusion of privacy and like the implications that could occur. What if you're drastically wrong? You're right. Like this guy is now going to have this stink hanging over his head. Because end of the day, it doesn't matter what the follow through, what the actual story was. That initial breaking story was crazy guy, and there's your mug, right? And it's there has to be more to this going through than just simply a hotline. It's just red flag laws is just out of control. I mean,
yeah, John.
So we've got this scenario, right? People are afraid that he's going to be a mass shooter. That's the fear. We're basing all of this stuff on irrational fears. Like assuming that your buddy, because he has guns, maybe he's got an off day. Maybe he's trying to go to the range to feel better.
Right.
Let's consider that for one thing. But this is all based around this weird fear, this irrational fear that a mass shooting is going to happen, and somehow the person that is afraid is going to be affected. This happens to less than, what is it like? It's like 0.1% of the people in the United States that are affected by this. But this is one of the top issues nationwide. Like it's such a small number of people that are affected by this exact scenario.
Yeah.
But we are making this huge stink out of it. And like, relating that to what Sean said about erring on the side of freedom, why is it wrong for somebody to possess a firearm and ammunition to go with it? Let's say I have a knife and I have a way to sharpen it. Is that suddenly a bad thing? Like this path we're on, and I have no clue how to correct, is all based on irrational fear of an inanimate object, and we are effed if we can't correct it.
Absolutely agree.
And just to be clear, that shooting that happened in California with that complete moron piece of crap that shot a couple classmates and then shot himself like the coward he is, there are over 15 million high school students in the United States. So when you're panicking and wringing your hands about those things, recall those numbers and err on the side of freedom.
The only thing I could think of is like a law that also stated, repercussions for misinformation. Like if you start reporting somebody and that person turns out to be completely wrong, there needs to be some sort of accountability that's held to that accuser, right? I mean, because unless we do, I mean, that thing's going to be on speed dial for most people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a great use of our resources resources? And I don't know about most other places. I do know locally, I have a lot of local law enforcement friends. I mean, it's not exactly the hot job that most people want to take up anymore. In fact, Seattle has lost, 30 or 35% of their work, their force recently. Is that what we want them to do? Start chasing these stories of people that could maybe potentially be doing something weird or crazy without any sort of repercussion for the accuser? Should they be incorrect? That's a poor use of our resources, poor use of, just what's going on. It's just crazy, man.
Yep. Our last story of the night is very local to me. It comes to us from Reason. Colorado's large capacity magazine ban is a colossal failure. And I completely agree with that. There's been a news report here recently where someone realized that here's what happens. In July 1st, 2013, the state legislature railroaded something through that basically banned new purchase of magazines over 15 rounds in limit. We recalled 2 senators, Angela Garone and John Morse, who was the head of the Senate. Got rid of both of them, but we still have this law 6 years later in Colorado. There is a bit of, I don't even want to say the word loophole, but people in this state don't give an F about this stupid law. Sheriffs don't give an F about the law. They actually sued the attorney general and the state, and that didn't actually end up going anywhere. But stores all over Colorado will sell magazine rebuild kits because basically you disassemble a magazine and there you have the parts that you need to rebuild the magazines that you had before July 1st, 2013. Which happens all the time. There are some stores that just don't care. And I do want to call out a local store that is literally 1 mile from where I'm sitting right now. I mean, it's in the article, it's in all the news, so I don't feel like I'm calling them out in a bad way. Let's see. Here we go. We're a sanctuary county. We don't give a we just sell everything as is pre-assembled. An employee at Family Firearms Sales, a gun store in Colorado Springs, told 9 News. And yeah, that is the attitude that a lot of people in this state have. There's been very few prosecutions, very few people that were actually charged with anything. There's been very few people that actually went to prison over it, and it's always an add-on charge. It's a stupid law. It does absolutely nothing. There's a lot of civil disobedience going on in Colorado. I think it's great. John Patton, what do you think?
I think they never intended for it to work.
Right.
These laws are not created in order to affect crime. They're not created for crime. They're not created and written by people that intend on making a difference. They're written by people that intend on being reelected because they wrote a law
Bingo,
and made somebody feel like they did something. Look at me. Look at this law that I wrote. My office. Somebody told me a story, and I don't remember where it was. They were in a politician's office, and they said all over it was Tim. It was Tim Harmson from Military Arms told me he went to a politician's office when he was young, and he saw all these laws all over the wall, hung up as like I don't know, like an award almost. Look what I did. These are the things that they're doing to create more nonsense so that they can go back to their constituents and say, look at what I did, reelect me. And it has nothing to do with safety. It has everything to do with the fact that legislators will constantly be looking for a reason to create a new law so that they remain employed.
100% agreed. I mean, it's kind of a sad state of affair that citizens are made to maybe even feel remotely safer based on some of these laws. I mean, did they not forget that killing people, in fact, has been illegal forever? How did we just totally miss that part? But
I like how casually you said that. I don't know if they missed this.
That was already illegal. I mean, but yeah, laws were made for votes. They weren't made for anything else, and that's why I always preach to anybody and everybody I love, like, don't ever believe that false narrative that somehow you're safe. You and only you are accountable for your own safety. And that's come up a couple of times in even family conversations when they go, what happens when they start to make this stuff illegal? Are you going to start carrying this stuff illegally? And I simply, at the end of the day, I'm accountable for myself, and I'll just leave it at that,
Yeah.
I always tell people, I'm not telling you to break the law, but carry a gun everywhere.
That's right.
Yeah,
Same.
I agree. So Family Firearms Sales, they are at Colorado Springs on Mazeland Road. If you live in Colorado or you can make a trek down there, go buy something from their shop, because good on you guys. I've known a couple of people who worked there in the past. I don't think they still work there, but I love their attitude.
That's fantastic.
Gotta love it. I mean, we've been doing that forever. We've had these California rebuild kits, same deal.
Yeah. I love it, man.
A box cutter and part.
Yeah. Some other things that they do is put rivets in them to stop the follower from going down past a certain point. And if you know anything about rivets, you know how that goes. Anyway, it's apparently a big deal now. 6 years later, they're just they're trying to pave the way for an even further encroachment on the Second Amendment in Colorado. And it's crazy because we live in a sea of red, but gerrymandering has ruined the state because Boulder, Fort Collins, and Denver, who are small dots of blue in the overall red map of Colorado, hold the political power because they're way better at PR and they're destroying us in propaganda for quite a few years now. Guys, that is all the time that we have for the stories. But before we go, I want to hear like what you guys are doing, where people can find you online. John Patton, start with you. What's new?
I'm on the interwebs. What's new? We've got lots and lots and lots of videos to make. We were just at the range today. I found this out the other day. We are apparently the only YouTuber with the Zero Delta Modulus. I've got one. I've got the full kit, and it's rad. We were out shooting it today. Got some beautiful high-speed footage of it, and that video is coming soon. Izzy doesn't know it yet, but we shot that today. And yeah, just lots and lots and lots of stuff going on. We're gearing up now for SHOT Show. We thankfully have our sponsors lined up this year, which is fantastic. We've got SB Tactical and New Frontier Armory. Shout out to them for supporting us. And yeah, you know, guys, things are getting silly. Things are getting silly again. We're trying to grow and trying to figure out how to do all of these things for you guys efficiently. And yeah, that's really it. Check us out on the interwebs. If you punch in the Gun Collective, my dumb face will be there.
There you go. It's not a dumb face, but it will be
kind of dumb. It's kind of dumb.
Ari, how about you?
I always look forward to your videos, John. I'm looking forward to that video.
Thanks, man.
You know, same over here. You can find us on radiarms.com. We got an Instagram and Facebook page. We've obviously last year been doing a lot more videos. We also have a podcast that just launched called The Peak. Now that's kind of an interesting little hybrid of, you know, talking about some of the things going on in the industry, as well as some two-way talks. We got involved with the Second Amendment Foundation on a new platform called Two-Way Gaming, actually. And Andrew will be on our show talking a little bit about what we're trying to do with that. But we're trying to bridge a gap a little bit with some of the gamers, right? And some of the gamers that are also two-way friendly. You guys saw.
Super smart.
Yeah, recently the gamers got a little dose of what we have been fighting with for a while, when, you know, politicians had gone out after them, you know, citing that they were kind of the cause for some of these violences that were occurring. And of course, we're, you know, just another kind of avenue to kind of reach out to them. So look out for that. Two-Way Gaming, so Second Amendment Foundation. And then, yeah, just doing videos on videos. We got a lot of cool content up, you know, a lot of it that is going to be launching at SHOT Show. So we can't talk too much about it yet, but you know, you'll see it soon. So Rainy Arms on YouTube, come check us out.
Very cool. All right, and I guess since this is the podcast show, I'm going to tell you guys where you can hear me. You can hear me on We Like Shooting. You can hear me on We Like Shooting Double Tap. You can hear me on This Week in Guns. You can hear me on the Civilian Medical Podcast with Skinny Medic. And We Like Shooting just launched a new one called Gun Flicks and Chill with We Like Shooting. That's where we talk about movies and guns and stuff like that. And I'm going to advise that you stay away from it because we're in the zone and I don't want you guys to get pregnant. So all of these podcasts are available at firearmsradio.tv. You've got the Gun Collective. You've got The Peak, which is brand new. Episode 1 just published 2 days ago. Go check that out. Subscribe to it. If you get podcasts in the all feed, you've already got it. And just go listen to it. I enjoyed it. And I'm super happy to have both of you guys bringing great content to the network. And I can't thank you enough.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for having me, Share.
Share.
A shot.
If I could turn back time, Ari, I would. Yeah, Kenny, edit that in.
Sure. Yeah, please leave that in.
All right, guys. We appreciate everyone who listens to this show, and thank you so much for supporting us throughout the years and supporting the Firearms Radio Network. Go check out our sponsors, Patriot Patch Company and Second Call Defense. Again, Second Call Defense is firearmsradio.tv/SCD and patriotpatch.co for that. This Week in Guns is produced by Kenny Ortega and Ben Allreed and is a production of the Firearms Radio Network. I'll catch you guys all next week.